What's up, guys? Mike B, aka Phony here, and what you're looking at right now, right this second, this is spectator mode in a battleground. Now, this is a war game. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to do what I am doing in an actual game, like a random or rated. You will probably get banned. Don't be a dick. Do not do that. What I am using is a tool called the WoW Machinima tool. I've been using it for a very, very long time to do Blizz Blues and to get like some really great shots. It doesn't always work though, especially after a patch. Sometimes the dev on it, he doesn't have the opportunity to really jump in and correct some of the things that happens whenever there's a patch to World of Warcraft. I actually had another gentleman who helped me look at the code itself, and he determined that there is a reason why it's so difficult to update. It's because it's so, the way it's written, it makes it very difficult. You can't just say, okay, detach camera from character. It's not like that line exists. That line gets shifted every time there's an update. You have to go like hunt it out and then reattach it to like the button. Anyways, you notice here I'm looking at the enemy team. There's a couple things you need to understand about the way, the mechanics of Battlegrounds before you really get a full grasp of what this is. In a battleground, in the instance, you and everybody else are rendered at all times. So the game will see everything in terms of your character at all times. Now, there's a couple other things that you need to make this work. And the reason why I'm showing this is because if some of you guys watch Legendary, the show every Thursday, World of Warcraft show, 8 o'clock, where we talk about, various World of Warcraft news, I brought up, and I did it in real time. I did it live actually on the show where I demonstrated how this would work in an arena situation, because we have people from like arena junkies who would actually go and set up an arena type match, but they would have to like kill the other person or something ridiculous, whatever. It ended up being kind of a mess the way they had to do it, and they didn't have the functionality that I do. Look at the stuff that I'm doing. My character is still back there. It's inside that building over there, chilling in the corner where you saw I left at the beginning of this video. Now, a couple things that are not rendered at all times. The flags are here now, but if we come back around like the second or third time, especially on the Alliance side, I wouldn't be able to see that flag on the post. But the second the character picks it up, I could see it on the character. So that's kind of a problem, right? Obviously, I can see it here because my character is actually in this room. But if we go, you'll see eventually here, we'll go to the Alliance side, and we won't see that the flag is there, even though it is there. Granted, the UI would be what that's for, to kind of track all that stuff, if you planned on using this tool in order to set up war games, in order to do like different types of competitions or tournaments or whatever you want to do. Now, this tool actually has some really neat features. If I click on somebody, and then I click on camera free, or camera relative, it will link itself as if I am playing as that character. So this is really nice for following the action close up. And I'm gonna be doing a whole lot of various changes and stuff like that throughout this video, where I demonstrate the different types of camera angles and everything. Now, this is an enemy character, right? The tool does not discriminate. It'll take critters. You can follow critters if you want. If you watch my last Blizz Blues, where Darnell's trying to go for his legendaries, there's a scene where he's driving by a rabbit. If you notice, the camera is linked to the rabbit. It's very easy to do that because it doesn't discriminate on what the item is or what the mob is, as long as it can highlight it. Now, all of these angles, it's very easy to fly around. You can control the speed of the camera. You're gonna hear Edie a couple times because I'm switching in between WoW and the tool, and occasionally I'll hit a button that the tool does not recognize, and so it'll put the warning out. So I have Edie sounds as all my Windows sounds. I'm a huge nerd. Anyways, that's besides the point. So here we have someone getting beat on. You have a Death Knight being beat on. He's not gonna die because he's a Death Knight, and that's just the way it works. But as far as who these people are, you're like, who are these people? Random people? It's like, yes, actually, they're random people from my guild. So they're basically friends. And every Thursday night we get together after Legendary. If you watched last week's, this previous Legendary from last night's or this past week, I may have come off as being a little salty and stuff. And keep in mind, it's okay to hate on World of Warcraft, but still play it and have fun. I enjoy doing this stuff thoroughly. But I have a feeling that may not have been the way that things were kind of picked up by the viewers. So consider this an apology for that. Anyways, every Thursday night, Battlegrounds, my guild on Bone Chewer Horde, we get together, we do stuff. We usually go raid Stormwind, and what we'll do is we'll clear out all Stormwind and just kind of hang out as if we own the place. Then we'll take cool pictures and all that stuff because it's something to do. Here we're doing war games. After this one, I actually was able to jump in and not be the cameraman. I only did this because I want to show everybody, you guys, the viewers, and anybody who's interested in setting up some kind of tournament, how this is done, so they can make something. Because I always feel like I've always felt that Warsong Gulch, Twin Peaks, Battle for Gneas, I always felt that these would be much better spectator sports, because as a viewer, you're like, okay, that guy has a flag, and I'm not an idiot, so I know that this other team that's beating on him is probably because of that flag. So it's easy. It's a spectator sport. You know what's going on. You see teams moving into place. Now the UI, this is my own personal UI. My mini-map thing is messed up. Usually it's square, nice and pretty, not cluttered. But other than that, this is pretty much my UI. Notice in the lower right corner I have on the aptly named Darknesses, in the lower right corner there, it has all of the Battleground information. It shows the flag carrier and all that stuff, right? I moved it down there because when I used to stream this, it was a lot easier for me to grab that and make it larger on the screen. Or for people who are watching the stream, they can actually read that. It's hard to read that when it's sitting right in the middle at the very top. So it's quick view, you can see it and everything. Now, it doesn't matter what mods I'm running right now. I know it's gonna sound weird. People are like, well, why don't you tell me what UI you have, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like X-Pearl and some other stuff. And I think Battleground targets upper right corner. That one's important. It doesn't matter what UI this is. It's the wrong UI for doing this. The Battleground targets is the closer you're gonna get to having the appropriate UI for this kind of situation. If you're going to do this, you're going to want to use a UI that is tailored for this. Like, I don't need to have my bars at the bottom. That doesn't need to be there. Chat does not need to be there, right? All I really need is the enemy team's health, as well as their buffs, debuffs, and then my team's health, buffs, debuffs, like on the left-hand side. That's all you need for this. And also, you probably want something that attaches different, emblems or icons or whatever cooldowns to nameplates. Now, as far as nameplates are concerned, again, this is a lot of talking because there's a lot of things involved here. It's not as simple as just fly the camera around, just make it happen. As far as nameplates are concerned, if you're wondering why I don't have them turned on, as far as I only have names, right, not the actual nameplates of the health and all that stuff, it's because it'll only draw those when your character is nearby, not when the camera is nearby. So it's very important to keep in mind. So I don't know if every single nameplate add-on will function without the nameplate being within range, if that makes any sense. So if a character is far enough away, even if it knows that it's a hunter, I don't know if it'll put a hunter emblem or icon above it. That's something that people are gonna have to test out and see if it works for themselves. I know the nameplate will not render if it's too far away, but that's it. Now, what we're looking at here, McMinty, Warrior Prots has the flag and he's making his way across the field. This is something that's very easy to spectate and very easy to cast, because you don't have to micro this the way that you micro arenas. In arenas, it's all micro. Every single thing you do is all micro related. Granted, you are gonna get into fights where micro comes in handy, right? But because it's an objective-based game, it doesn't matter if out here in the middle of the fields, one person kills somebody else with a serpent sting, right? That doesn't really matter in the bigger picture, because the main focus here should be that you have an enemy that's attacking and he's outnumbered severely, and McMinty, the flag carrier, is gonna have an easy run to the base. He's got a support team with them. You see, these are things that you can talk about. You don't need to say, oh, and here comes a hunter and he shot serpent sting. Oh crap, here he goes for an aim shot. Look out, other 5 guys, because there's no reason to bring that up. In an arena situation, yes, definitely. When you have somebody who's loading up an aim shot or something, and you have 3 guys fighting 3, like 3-on-3, then that has a bit more impact. But here in this situation, it's a little bit different. You can, but you don't have to. There's more things to talk about. Again, here we are with the camera linked to, I think it's Trixie. And she is now in a 1 versus 1 scenario with Tarvox. Or sorry, a 2 versus 1 scenario now that the Death Knight showed up. Now, one thing you notice is that the camera is now doing something kind of weird. This is another camera feature that I have. This is really great for keeping the action always in focus based off of who it was that I initially selected, and keeping the camera just kind of in the same position. So it's almost like the camera is just mounted and it's kind of moving around. And you can zoom in and out, and there's all kinds of things you can do. You're going to see me use that a couple times here. The nice thing about the tool is that when you click on somebody and you attach your camera to them, it doesn't matter where they're at. Again, this goes back to the fact that the targets are all rendered no matter where they're at in the game, so or the match. So on the right hand side you see Battleground targets. I click on somebody and then boom, just like that. Now I am on the other side of the map watching Sapdat do his business over here on he's on offense trying to take down the flag carrier who's way up there. So you see this view we have? This is stuff you can't do. You just can't do without a tool like this. And I understand that Blizzard is not going to take time out to actually go through and develop something like this, because as I said, it's kind of shoddily put together. It's not exactly the most easiest thing to utilize. However, it's okay. I think it should be okay to use tools like this in a war game scenario where if you want, you could set up, tournaments /wave, McMinty. Now, some of the guys that are playing here, some of them PvP, a little bit here and there, and other ones, they just kind of, they don't PvP at all. There's actually a couple guys here who just like, don't PvP. They're just there for the fun. So we're not going to see a lot of very, very organized attacks. You can imagine that if any of you guys ever done RBGs in the past, you know that the gameplay style is considerably different than playing a random. It just is. It sounds like it's funny. Some people don't get that, and I noticed that when I used to stream Rated Battlegrounds, people would be like, wow, this is the most organized thing I've ever seen. And we, like as a team, we'd be like, wow, we're the most unorganized team we've ever seen. But there is a huge difference between running randoms and running rated. So here, this is like a healthy mix, because some of these folks, they don't really PvP that much. I don't think, very few of them have actually done RBGs. So this is a very interesting, and even though it may be a little chaotic, you can imagine that watching a rated Battleground team that's highly polished and highly coordinated, how much more excited and easy to follow that would be, because you would know when an attack is mounting, because they would be grouping up and getting ready to actually go for a kill. Now, something else that you can do, again, so many rules and things to this. Notice that I hear everything. Now remember where I left my body, right? My body's all the way at the Alliance base, tucked into the corner. I'm not here right now. There used to be an option, and it disappeared, and I think nobody noticed, including I didn't notice it until we started doing this. We actually started doing this last week, before we did it again this past Thursday night. And I tossed that footage because it was not good. The reason why is because there used to be an option in the UI menu, or in the options menu, where you could go through and you could choose an option that said sound on character or sound on camera, something like that. Some of you old fogies would remember this. This was like 2.4 and below. So it was definitely several years ago. And then it disappeared after that. You need to modify your config.wtf in order to include that function. It still exists, but you have to modify your config in order to turn it on. What it does is it takes the sound, like let's say let's just pretend that your character is holding a microphone, and that microphone picks up all of the audio that your character hears, and it just sends it to your headset. You're the person playing the character, okay? If you've been in a boss fight, or on any raid, or if you're in PvP and you're in the thick of things, you know that it could get so incredibly hectic, and the sound is just crazy. What happens is, or what I've done is, by modifying the config file with a simple line, I'm able to mount that microphone onto the camera. So now anywhere the camera goes, it has the microphone now, and we can hear everything. This may not seem like a big deal. It's like, well, what's the big deal here? Well, it's a big deal because you want to be able to hear what's going on where the camera is, not where your character is parked. That's the problem. That's the reason why we ended up losing or ditching the other footage from last week, is because it was just, there was not enough sound. It was just really weird. Granted, as Idiot Tank pointed out, he said, hey, you could just go and put Linkin Park on it like everybody else does, which is a fair point. I probably could have, but it's unfortunately it's not quite up to my standards. So here these guys are gonna go ahead and stage another attack. Sap that. If we look around, I could click on another character, and then I could switch. I could switch cameras so easily. It's so ridiculous. Now, okay, I'm glad this just happened because I almost forgot about this. What is going on here is he has stealth. I think that is like, everybody knows what just happened. He's stealth, therefore my camera cannot follow him anymore because I, as a character, can't see him. So if we're gonna do this, what you probably wanna do is have one character on both sides, Alliance and Horde, right? Or, you know, on either team, be the cameraman. That way they can follow everybody at all times, right? So that way they can see both sides, because once a character on another team stealth, you're not gonna be able to see them, even if you're the cameraman. It doesn't see through stealth. Look at all the buffs and T-buffs on McMinty right now, but he's holding it down. Prot Warrior, yeah. He actually has to work for that. Yeah, good old Prot Warriors. Now, this is great because somebody who's casting this can follow everything. If he had a better UI, again, because my UI is not designed for this at all, if he had a better UI, he could really follow this. By selecting a character, I had focus frames that come up, right? Or casting bars, everything that comes up. And it allows me to track what's going on. I could place a focus on somebody with another macro if I wanted to. Or if I wanted to, again, this all goes into the design and the implementation of a UI that works. So I could hover my mouse over somebody, and they maybe cast a macro that makes it my focus. And now that person's my focus, and it also has my my cast bars on it. I think this is the first cap. Yeah, here we go. First cap, McMinty is going to dunk it. I hope he dunked it. Didn't have a chance to switch over very quick. But you can have your cast bars all lined up if you guys use, you know, there's lots of really good cast bar UIs that will allow you to have one for focus, have one for your enemy, have one for friendlies, and all that stuff. There's so many different options you could do. Designing a UI that would work for this would really just be taking like Battleground targets, expanding on it a little bit to include maybe some various other information as well as like buffs, debuffs. But being able to see the health, that's the big thing. And again, getting into the fact that this is an objective-based game, people know and understand what's going on. It's like somebody is dying. You can get into the micro of that if it's a fight that really matters. You can get into that. But a lot of times it comes down to strength in numbers, and focus and strength. It's a little bit of a different game. Now, here's another feature here that I'm kind of scrolling through. This is the ability to tighten up your field of view. This is something that you may not want to use because it ends up flattening everything, if that makes sense. But it could be handy if you want to get a more of a cinematic view of the field. Now, I have the camera attached. Now I'm just flying it straight to him. That's really cool because I could select somebody and get that really nice like panning long shot like you just saw, where I'm just kind of slowly flying into the character. Right there, that was a switch from character A to B. You saw the camera jump just when the flag did. Now, unfortunately, I can't attach it to the flag. If I could attach it to like the guy with the flag debuff, you know what? Actually, I take that back. I take that back completely. You can make a macro, I think. Huh. I wonder if you can make a macro that looks for a specific debuff and targets that person, because UIs can read debuffs. So like a UI mod or add-on, it can read a debuff or a buff. So I wonder if there's a way to write a macro that interacts with that UI mod that will allow you to target somebody that has the flag debuff. That would actually make it a lot easier to switch between flag carriers. Now, if you're in a rated scenario, there's always going to be one dedicated flag carrier on both sides, so you're not really going to have to worry about having, basically hot swapping out flag carriers and such, except for the off chance that somebody else is carrying it. Like for example, for the initial handoff and all of that happens quite often. Somebody else will go grab the flag after a cap and then run it back to the flag carrier and then meet midfield. But you could probably have a separate portion of the UI dedicated to those characters, because those are the most important ones, in my opinion, in the match. Now we have Tarvox, Monster Shaman, just going in there, wailing on El Dennis, who's probably not going to die because he's DK, and again, that's how DKs work. Die. He's got a nice following, though. As we can see, we have quite a few people on his ass. Enhance and 8, though, support. Playing support there, Shaman. We have, I think that's Beast Chaser, the Hunter. Yeah, they're just gonna clean it up. Sap that just showed up. But yeah, I think that this is they're pretty much gonna clean everything up. Sapdat's cleaning up the rest, and man, this is tough. This is tough. Sapdat obviously focusing on enhanced innate, get rid of some of that support, get it out of the way. But this is great though. This is the kind of stuff that you could see. Now, if I had a little more caffeine in my system and maybe was doing this in real time with the pressures on, you could probably cast this fairly easily. You definitely can. I think the average person could really do this because if you have basic knowledge of classes and you know the teams that are playing, you know the classes they're going to be playing, your UI would be designed around this whole concept. It would just fall together. You could just do it and make interesting gameplay sessions. People loved watching my rated Battleground stream. I want to say that they loved watching it. It was more interesting to watch than watching an arena match because arena matches are over so quickly. Here we go. You notice that the flag was not there when he capped it. Again, this goes back to what I mentioned at the beginning about how it does not draw things that are out of your range. Now, if I moved my character a little bit closer, it's possible I could find a sweet spot right in the middle of the map where it'll actually see both flags, in which case that's cool. If not, so what? It doesn't matter if you're looking at your UI or you have a UI element that says Alliance flag carrier at base, right? Something like that, like a large Alliance shield or emblem or icon, and then on the right-hand side you have like a Horde one. There's ways you could do it where you don't need to have actually see the flag sitting in place. But the second they pick it up, then of course you can see it on their back. All right, now this is hilarious right here. We have McMinty and Beast Chaser coming up. So we have Hunter and Prot Warrior running up the ramp here. Inside the room is everybody. Notice Beast Chaser stops. McMinty runs in. Beast Chaser is just like, he has his track humanoids on clearly because you can see him run up the ramp and be like, nope. And he nopes right out the door. He's gone. McMinty, he's through. He's totally through. No matter what, no cooldowns is gonna save you from, what is that, like 6 people? And then look, I come out here and I'm like, where did Beast Chaser go? And you'll see I even accuse him of leaving him in chat or in vent, and he's like, oh yeah, that's me. I was like, who was it that ran out? He's all, me, lol. But yeah, while it was happening, like you could see what was happening. You saw Beast Chaser run up and then stop, and McMinty runs in by himself. So we're down to the last 5 minutes. The game is tied. I think at this point what's going to end up happening, I believe that, if I recall correctly, memories fading. I just did this last night too. I believe that they're probably going to end up in a draw situation, which you know, the last person to cap actually ends up winning, which I never agreed with. I hated that system. I still do. So it's right now, this is an idiot tank down there, who's, by the way, his macros are all messed up because he was multi-boxing, so now he's playing with like shit macros or something. I guess maybe that's why he popped retaliation back there. Oh, getting hit by a mage, better pop retaliation. But yeah, I think he's still recovering from a crap binding situation. But here we go. At this point, he's like, oh, do I still have the whole team on me? And I'm like, no, you don't. You have your whole team on you now. He's like, oh, man. He thought he was awesome, running away from, like, an explosion or something without looking back. And then he turns around. He's like, oh, never mind. There's nobody there. So, yeah, we're wrapping up the last couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and try to wrap up some of the things, some of the highlights here. Not necessarily in the game itself, but just in the setup. You have to have a custom UI. I'm using this is my basic Battleground UI that I have up. It's very basic. Battleground targets upper right corner, and move anything to slash move anything, right? The add-on to move the information down the lower right corner. But I would suggest getting an add-on or something, or designing one that allowed you to see that information, but much larger and much clearer with more information on it. Like, for example, does the flag exist at the base or is it being carried? In most cases, you could see if the name's not there, you would say, oh, it's at the base. Not always. If the name's not there, that means it could be still in play. These are things that you have to, like, write for, or write the add-on for. The sound on the camera, very important. If you want to know what that is, I suggest just Google it. Just Google sound on camera World of Warcraft. You will find the script the same way that we did. The WoW Machinima tool, Google that too. It's very easy to use. It breaks all the time. It's a tool that you can use to make this happen. Do not, under any circumstances, ever use this in any situation other than a war game. I'm showing you this because I have faith that the majority of you will use this tool for good. To use this tool to actually play the game in a fair and balanced manner, right? As in, not using it to play the game, using it for spectating purposes, purely spectating purposes. Do they have ways of tracking it? Probably. They've not done anything to me forever because I use it out in the open world when I'm filming Blizz Blues. I don't use it to, like, you know, fly around a map to see where the flag carrier is or something like that. Yeah, trust me, you don't want to get busted for that. It's not worth losing your account over. Obviously a little bit of a gamble for me to show you guys this as well, because, you know, who knows, maybe Blizzard will get pissed and they'll be like, well, he showed everybody, let's ban him, in which case I would be very unhappy. But you know what, if I get this information out to everybody, I feel like as a whole, if people want to do this and make this a thing, I would watch it. So if I get banned, at least I might have something to watch. The tool only modifies stuff that you see. It doesn't actually, it's not a speed hacking tool, it's not a multi-boxing tool. All it does is it detaches the camera and changes some of the colors of, like, the sky and how dark it is and what time it is and all that stuff. It has other cool features. It doesn't do anything that's game breaking besides the fact that you can fly around. That's it. So please do not abuse it. It is a great and fantastic tool. The guy works really hard on it to keep it up to date, and we don't want to see it cease working for World of Warcraft. So we're ending in a draw, and this pretty much concludes the video demonstrating spectator mode in Battleground scenario. My name is Mike B, aka Phony. You can follow me at aka Mike B. If you have any questions, feel free to ask below. Do not ask what my UI is. I'm probably not going to tell you because I don't even remember what it is, because that was so long ago. But any other questions regarding the tool, how it's used, and all that stuff, just go ahead and ask in the comments below. If you want to know if you're going to get banned for using it, don't ask me that. I don't know. You'll probably get banned if you're using it inappropriately. Yes, you will. But other than that, it might be pretty safe to go and do any war game scenario, and you can have a lot of fun with it. You really can. Set it up however you want. Get the UI together, cast the footage, and stream it or post it to YouTube. Send it to me. I'd love to watch it. But again, my name is Mike B, aka Phony. I'm putting this out there because I want people to see that this exists, and if you're interested in it, then run with it. If not, then it's just another World of Warcraft video, right? Aka Mike B on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Follow me, and have a nice day.